Do you still see yourselves as the clear second best team?
To be completely honest, I don't really care about that. Like, I am just looking at the games as they come.
Hello, welcome to another NLC interview here with Esports News UK. This time I'm joined by Riddle's jungler Stefan. I just want to jump into basically straight away your change from a player to coach back to player that you've done recently. Firstly, how do you go about coaching a world champion in Haru as your first coaching gig?
Well, it isn't necessarily planned. Like, my first option was to be a player, right? That was what I wanted to do. But basically, long story short, our team was dragging an offer very late into the off season, and they ended up going with someone else. I don't want to go into details. It was very unlucky, very unfair, but it is what it is, and I had basically no other options. I got contacted by X7. They asked if I want to coach. I said sure, sounds fun. I tried it, I liked it, and yeah, it went pretty well. We won the NLC. It was really good.
Fair enough. Did you always feel confident you could do something like that? Because obviously, it's like it helps being good at the game, but then I suppose it's almost a totally different skill set being able to actually coach people as well, and not just the actual game kind of knowledge that you need for that.
Yeah, I mean, it came naturally to me. Obviously, like being a player for such a long time, I kind of can feel what the players can feel playing games. And in traditional sports as well, most of the bigger like coaches, the better coaches are ex-players. So it kind of makes sense for me. Also, I do think I will continue coaching at some point in the future. Obviously, I think I'm performing really well now as a player, so I want to keep that up as much as possible. But when I'm done with that, yeah, I'll go back to coaching for sure. I really like it.
Cool. And I remember actually one of the interviews you did during the split while you were with X7, and you even mentioned then that you knew you were going to go straight back to playing afterwards. But was there, like you say, it kind of came natural to you being a coach? Was there part of you that thought, you know what, maybe I'll just actually carry on with this and maybe hang up the playing career now, or not?
Yeah, I mean, coaching is easier, to be honest. It's less stressful, so there's always that I can just chill back, relax, and coach. But I still have I don't know, I still have the ambition as a player to achieve a lot more than I did so far. I mean, I did some things, I won some titles here and there, but I still am not satisfied, and I think I can get a lot more. That's probably the main reason. I actually had offers as a coach for this split, but for, let's say, a lot more money than I would get now. But I opted against it just because I felt like I'm good enough as a player, and I want to use the upcoming years that I have to play as much as I can.
Fair enough. Then that coaching role that you did, obviously, I presume that going in as a former jungler, and now obviously current jungler again, but being that jungle was your main role, were you brought on with the jungle in mind specifically as like maybe a bit of like positional work, or was it just kind of general stuff?
A little bit of both, to be honest. Also not necessarily jungle position as well. I was more looking at all lanes basically. So yeah, I mean, it was obviously my first split as a coach, so I kind of had to figure things out myself as well. But yeah, it was fun. It was challenging as well, but yeah.
Cool. Then what was it like? We touched on it a little bit about having Haru on as a former world champion. Do you feel like you were able to kind of learn from him as well? Was it even helpful, thinking of it back in like your player's shoes, thinking, you know what, a few things I'm seeing him doing scrims here that could actually be handy when I get a team next split or something like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think players work differently and they learn differently. But one of the ways that I learn is looking at like VODs, for example, or players just generally playing. And I think watching such a good player like Haru play for, I don't know, since January, basically like 4 months, 5 months maybe, playing 6 scrims a week, it for sure helped me a lot. I think I mimicked a lot of Haru's gameplay from his last split in NLC. And yeah, it's definitely helped.
Cool. Well, of course, not everyone that would have that kind of chance, I guess, to go into coaching for a little bit would be coaching a player, maybe as prestigious as that. But would you just recommend it in general, even for players that have no desire to actually stop playing yet? That they maybe, if they don't maybe get a good offer like what happened to you, to just try it out, see it from the other side? Maybe do you think it helps?
I mean, obviously, it depends from player to player what your ambitions are, what you want to do in the future. If you feel like playing, you should probably keep playing like I did. If you feel like coaching is something that interests you more, then I would definitely say go for it, try it, see how it goes, and yeah, decide afterwards.
Cool, good stuff. Then just one more thing on kind of the Haru subject as well. Obviously, he's gone off to Vitality now in the LEC, joining that super team. But I think it's kind of fair to say they've not really looked much better yet since he's joined. Do you see it? First of all, would you maybe agree with that? And then secondly, would you see that as maybe a surprise? I've heard people say that maybe like the way he would play doesn't necessarily match up with them having like someone like Alfari and Perks that kind of would prefer to be played through, but then Haru's kind of like would take the game over himself sometimes in the NLC. Did you see that as maybe like a bit of a surprise given what they would necessarily need?
Honestly, I agree with you. Firstly, that I don't think the team is performing very well so far. I don't think it's necessarily the playstyle. I feel like Haru is very versatile, and he was able to like completely play for one or two lanes or completely play for himself. It just depends on the draft mostly. So I don't think it's the player issue. I do think they're underperforming. One thing that if I was coaching Vitality, I would probably put Haru on his comfort picks, because I think when he was getting his comfort picks in NLC, it was just a bloodbath basically every game. When he was on the Hecarim, on the Zinzao, I think these games are so easy to play. But nowadays he's playing a lot of the new things. Like we tried Viego as well in NLC or like in X7, and it wasn't working out very well. Now Viego is one of the stronger picks, so maybe the meta doesn't fit him as much. So maybe it is that. I'm not sure.
Fair enough. Then kind of going into this split, like you've mentioned, you're obviously were always aiming to come back as a player. Now, seeing as Haru obviously left and went to Vitality, was there a chance you could have just stayed with X7 and actually just filled his spot, or were you maybe surprised not to have been able to do that?
I mean, off seasons are always very complicated and kind of hard to explain. But yeah, there was some talks. I asked if I could stay, but there was a residential issue. They needed a resident jungler because they were bringing two Koreans and Attila. So there was no like spot for me to join. But yeah, maybe next year we will see.
Then, kind of going on to Riddle, then, who you're obviously with now, and I think a lot of people, from what I saw, kind of, I guess, under-expected, what you were going to bring to Riddle. Is, I think it's maybe fair to say, because also you'd not really played much in the NLC region before. I think, if I'm right, you played a couple of times in maybe like a Swedish league back in the day. I, for example, hadn't seen you play before, and then there's the kind of bit of a stigma, I think, coming back as a coach then and saying, oh, well, was he actually still able to cut it here? And then you come in and obviously been, I'd say, probably one of the best junglers in the league so far. And Riddle themselves, obviously, having a lot of success, second place at the moment. Were you at all surprised? Because obviously, I think the general population is a bit shocked that Riddle has gone, so well. Not that I think everyone expected, not that much from them, but yeah, I'd say the expectations have definitely been kind of blown out of the water for everyone so far.
To be honest, I feel like it's fair to rate us like lower than the other teams, because I don't think we have as big names as the other teams. For example, like X7 and XL and etc. Like these teams have like pretty big names that have played in the NLC for a long time, as you said. But I would not have joined this team if I knew that the players aren't good. I obviously knew that they have a lot of potential. They're all pretty young, 16, 18-year-old kids from Greece that need someone a bit older, a bit strict, that can lead them around the map, which is completely okay with me as long as they're playing really well, and they are playing really well. The whole team is performing, I wouldn't say out of my expectations, but yeah, I'm happy with the way they are performing, and as long as we keep doing or keep playing like we're playing, I think our results will be even better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like we said about obviously the results have been good so far. I was even checking it just before. Like you guys are on a 7-game win streak right now. The only 2 losses you had were in the first 3 games of the split, and one of those was when you didn't have the full roster. So I think it's kind of fair that you guys have basically been cemented as the second best team at the moment, just behind XL. Obviously, were unbeaten until recently. But then you've got X7 who are kind of coming back now. Like they looked quite shaky. They got their whole roster together. They still looked a bit shaky for a couple of weeks. And they're on a bit of a win streak now, and they just beat XL, the first team to do so. Do you still see yourselves as the clear second best team ahead of them and Bifrost as well?
I don't, to be completely honest, I don't really care about that. Like I'm just looking at the games as they come and trying to prepare as much as possible as for the future games. In terms of standings, I think we still have a shot at being first. Basically, if we win every game, or if XL drops another game, we can contest the first spot. So I don't really care if we're first, second, third, whatever. I think we're gonna look at the games as they come and try to play the best as we can. And yeah, I think X7 had a really rough start. I don't think they found their identity on time, and maybe they needed more practice. I mean, even us with Riddle, I think we did not have like I don't know how much has it passed, but we played so little scrim so far. Like we had so many like off days and days we can't play, and then a bunch of internet issues that were unresolvable. So we had issues ourselves. So that could be the reason for our first 2 games that we dropped. But yeah, I think X7 is for sure one of the best, if not the best team in the league in terms of each like individual players. I feel like that their early not misplays but bad games in the early start of the season don't really matter as long as they make playoffs. If they're in playoffs and they perform there, that's basically everyone will only remember that. Nobody will look back at X7's 3rd game of NLC summer 2020. They will look at them either winning the championship or being top 2, top 3 the split. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really fun. I don't know who's better, X7 or XL. I think we're gonna aim to beat them both.
Well, you've got obviously a chance to do to beat XL this upcoming week. So you've got Singularity first, who I guess you would try to play it down a bit, but as an outside looking in, you could probably say that's a guaranteed win, to be fair. But then you've got the XL game after that. Do you see that as like maybe a bit of a statement, seeing as you are second place just behind them? Because I guess your record is only 1 game off of them now as well, so that could potentially be a position, an option to tie up with them. Are you fairly confident with that one?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think everyone on the team is confident. Everyone on the team is working pretty hard. So I don't think it's going to be any different than any other game we played so far. We're going to treat it basically as any other game. We're going to give it our best and hope for the best. I think our first game against them was also pretty close, considering we had basically no scrims, and that was our first official with the full roster. So yeah, I think a lot of factors came down to a lot of things came down. We were influenced by a lot of things that we could not control, basically. So yeah, I mean the game was still close. I think we could have won. I think the draft was pretty hard. I guess if we have a better draft now, we'll do some magic probably.
Look forward to it. And then just kind of to start wrapping up then, while you're at Riddle, how much has CJ been annoying you to do social media stuff so far?
Not that much. I think it's mostly because nobody is responding to him. Like I feel like he wrote some stuff that we should do for like not media day, but for like I don't know, like some random games and stuff like this. I didn't really check it, to be honest, but he basically wrote the schedule and asked us when are we available, and I don't think anyone responded. So
yeah, that's what I do when he messages me as well. Don't worry. Just to add then, is there anything you'd like to add? Any final words that you've got for the people?
yeah, don't underestimate us. I think we're a really strong team, and I think we will prove that over time. I mean, we're already proving it, but I think when playoffs come, we will be ready.
Wicked. Well, thanks very much for the interview then, and yeah, best of luck next week, and best of luck with the rest of the split.
Thank you.